There was once a man named Pam. He was an upcoming motivational speaker, but things were not taking off for him. To make ends meet, he had to do other side hustles and businesses. Pam lived alone, but he had a pet parrot that kept him company. Since farming was common in the area where he lived, Pam started a poultry farm to support himself. However, deep down, he wanted to be like Les Brown, Miles Monroe, and Bob Proctor's of the world, the great men who inspired people. But he realized something. All these motivational and inspirational speakers had powerful stories to tell. He knew he needed one too. So Pam kept at it. He spent hundreds of hours listening to tapes, watching videos, and practicing his speeches. He would talk to himself in the mirror, speak to his parrot, and practice relentlessly. His parrot was always there listening to all the motivational speeches. Before long, the parrot started mimicking what he heard from the tapes and began giving motivational talks too. Pam and his parrot became close friends. The parrot even started helping him with small tasks like feeding the chickens. One day, the parrot grabbed the chicken feed with his legs and flew into the poultry cage to deliver their daily ration. But instead of just leaving, he asked the chickens if they wanted to hear some motivational talk. Sure, the chickens replied. So the parrot began inspiring them. Everything is possible for the one who believes. Even though you are chickens, you can fly like eagles. The chickens laughed. We already know our fate, they said. When the time comes, the butcher will show up, slaughter us, and will become frozen chicken. There's no point in believing otherwise. But one chicken actually believed the parrot's words. He allowed the message to change his mindset. The other chickens mocked him, calling him foolish for thinking he could escape his destiny. They turned to the parrot and said, instead of false hope, give us a motivational speech that prepares us for our inevitable doom. So the parrot did just that. He told them they were born for one purpose, to become human food. He encouraged them to embrace their fate with all their hearts. However, the one believing chicken had a different request. Tell me more about the eagle mindset, he said. The others laughed at him. Your death will be painful because you are not expecting it. We, on the other hand, are at peace, following the same path as our ancestors. Pam, on the other hand, didn't know any of this was going on. Pam continued listening to motivational tapes day and night, and so did the parrot. Meanwhile, the believing chicken took the eagle's lessons seriously. He began to exercise, stretch his wings, and stop overeating like the others. Days and weeks passed. The day of judgment was approaching, the day when the butcher would come. But the believing chicken kept refining his body because he believed, though he was a chicken, he could fly like an eagle. He prepared himself for the impossible. He lost weight, his wings grew longer and stronger. He couldn't fly yet, but he could jump higher and sustain himself in the air longer than the other chickens. Anytime the other chickens saw the believing chicken practicing, exercising how to become an eagle and do the impossible, they laughed at him and called him the eagle in chicken clothing. Then, the final 2 weeks arrived. The chickens continued absorbing their chosen motivational speeches. One of them embracing the eagle mindset and working towards it, others preparing for their inevitable doom of ending up as frozen chicken. Finally, the D-Day came. The butcher arrived with his van and a razor-sharp knife. Since the chickens couldn't fly or run far, they were left out into the yard. The butcher started his work. He caught the first chicken, slit its throat, then the second. Just as he grabbed the third chicken, the believing chicken felt a surge of faith. He leaped higher than ever before, flapped his wing, sustained himself in the air, but still he fell back to the ground. The butcher noticed him and suspected that chicken was trying to escape and decided to make him the next victim. The chase began. The butcher began chasing the believing chicken and he ran and ran, but he was caught. The butcher caught the chicken and was about to slit his throat, slit the throat of the believing chicken. And suddenly, because of the mockery the other chickens were laughing at the believing chicken as he was about to die, the parrot suddenly decided to intervene, distracting the butcher, flying into his face and causing confusion. In that moment of temporary chaos, the parrot looked the chicken in the eye and shouted, "I believe you can do it. It's all possible." Suddenly, a powerful force came upon the chicken. He spread his wings and with one flap, soared higher than ever before, higher than the parrot. He was in the sky, flying like an eagle. On seeing this, the other chickens cried out in regret. They realized they had doomed themselves by believing they could never fly, but the believing chicken has proved otherwise. Desperately, they tried to fly out, but it was too late. They tried running, but they moved too slow. One by one, they were all slaughtered and became frozen chickens, just as they had believed. And after the butcher was done, Pam turned to the parrot. What just happened? The parrot explained everything, the speeches, the motivation, while he was feeding them, what he was saying to them, their requests to give them this type of motivation, give them the ego mindset, all this. He explained everything to Pam, and Pam was in shock. He didn't even know that the parrot and the chickens were there talking for months. He was in total shock. He told the parrot to please find that flying chicken and bring him back home. The parrot went in search for this flying chicken. He asked other birds, have they seen a chicken flying? And they said they have seen it, and it is the first time they are seeing anything like it. So it wasn't very difficult to locate a flying chicken. Chickens don't fly every day. The chicken was now resting on a high mountain. It was very difficult to reach. The parrot flew up to him but became very exhausted because the height was so high. When he finally found him, he delivered Pam's message. The parrot pleaded with the chicken to come back home, and Pam wasn't going to kill him. Pam just wanted to understand everything that was going on. The chicken simply said, "The fact that I flew is enough for me." Together, they flew back home. Pam, the parrot, and the flying chicken sat together, realizing the golden opportunity before them. Pam decided to document a research, so he bought a new batch of chickens in order to replicate what had just happened. And with the help of the flying chicken and the parrot, they cultivated in them the belief in the impossible. Miraculously, one by one, this new batch of chicken that Pam was documenting, taping everything, videoing everything, researching everything, this new batch of chickens began to fly. Pam took his discovery to the world. He spoke at seminars, appeared on TV shows, and announced the possibility of the impossible. He always brought along his two companions, a flying chicken and a motivational parrot. In less than a year, Pam became a multi-millionaire. His work, research, and institute were used worldwide. The animal motivational speaker, the impossible doer. Pam was well recognized. His dream has finally come true. Military dogs were trained more efficiently. Animals like rats, horses, and cats learned to do incredible things. And even humans abandoned their limiting belief. Pam and his team were motivating and inspiring the world. They became the #1 animal motivational speakers in the world, something that has never been done. And from that day forward, chickens flew happily ever after. The impossible had just been done.